Hey everybody, it is September 1st, I believe. Monday, September 1st? Monday, September 2nd. I'm not sure. We're in September now. The year has kind of flown by. Today I just wanted to talk to you guys about addictions, what they are, and like the a little portion called forgiveness. What I learned in my recovery of addictions is, and through my trauma work, is I have had to literally learn that I have to forgive. Forgiveness has been a huge step in how I work my daily life. Like, I can hold on to resentments, I can hold on to angers, frustrations, all the feels, all of them, absolutely all of them. But unless I learn, or actually, when I learned to forgive the people that I thought damaged me or left a bad um, memory, or something negative that happened, I also learned that I have to also remember why they stepped into my life, the lessons that they taught me, and also like to forgive them. And more importantly, more than even that, learning to forgive myself. Yes, myself, ourselves. We have to learn to forgive ourselves because they didn't put you in that situation. You put yourself in that situation, and that's okay. They were there. Whoever, whatever trauma is popping up to your head and making you angry, upset, they're like literally in your mind, and they just want to make you cry or scream at the top of your lungs. Let me tell you, yes, absolutely. It's valid for you to feel those feelings, but you also have to remember that we don't typically invite people into our lives to for them to come damage us. We invite them into our lives because we want to make a friendship with them, or have a friendship with them, build one, or build an empire. We think we're going to go into somebody um with the intention of just having a good friendship or partnership in whatever level, whether it is personal, business, financial, whatever it may be for you. Sometimes it just doesn't, things don't play out the way we want them. That's okay. I think a lot of people have so many things to learn about. To learn about not only on the outside, like how to perceive people, go do, your regular basic stuff that we need to do to maintain us. For example, working, going to school, um, socializing, all of the basic things that we should be doing, but also tending to our personal needs, if that makes sense. Like, we also have to make sure that we have good support system. We have to make sure that we have people in our lives that are there for a purpose. Like, you could have a garden, but you're not going to make anything of your garden if you don't water it and take care of it, right? Like, everything's going to die off. It can just be there, but soon enough it will be full of weeds and things that you don't want if you don't take care of it. So we have to prep the ground. We have to clean it up. um, I don't really know what goes into prepping for a garden. But anyways, you know, we have to do certain things in order for things to work. Prepping it, maintaining it, planting your seeds, and then like watering it, cutting your your crops that you've gotten, things like that, right? That way things don't just mold and rot and grow out of control. It's the same thing with people. We need to do the same thing with people. Sometimes people are there, and they're there because they're your coworkers, and you invite them to your personal life because you think this would be a great friend for you. But if they're not serving you any purpose, it's okay. You don't owe them the world. It's not saying, oh, go cut everybody off either. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is sometimes we just kind of outgrow what we're doing, and you're supposed to. You're supposed to. And you shouldn't ever feel guilty, to or for or against anything like that in regards to any situation that you are in. It just got a little windy. But we just kind of have to be mindful that, we have to be productive in our day-to-day life so that we can make sure that we are doing the things that are going to make us progress. You want to build up a business, you want to go to school, you want to grow your family. Like, what is going to make you successful in the long term so that you can grow and continue to grow? Like, that's the main purpose of, this life is growing. And when we get involved with a certain addiction or something that cripples us, because addiction doesn't necessarily have to be a substance, it can also be the chemicals in our brains. It can be also, I know that I've witnessed it, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. It's just the simplicity of, there's people that are addicted to the feeling of, excuse me, sorry about that. There are some people that are literally addicted to the feeling of pain because it makes them feel. There's people that are addicted to being depressed because that's the only thing that they're used to at this point. Um, and it's just kind of having to retrain and reprogram your brain so that we're not stuck in that sense. Like, we don't want to be stuck there. We want to be happy. We want to enjoy um, multiple people's company, not just be codependent of somebody or something. And that to me is what an addiction is something that actually cripples you and maintains you where you are dependent on either a substance, a feeling, a person. Like, codependency is also something that many people struggle with. And also, like, we got to take into consideration that when we are in recovery of one addiction, a lot of people move on to another addiction. So we have to be mindful of the things that we're using to replace them. I, at one point, had a problem that was pointed out to me by my mom, actually. Hi, Mom. Throwing you under the bus, actually. But at one point, I was working in the daytime, working at night, and because she was helping me with my daughter at that point, and my work hours were so difficult, so complex, that instead of coming home and resting, I would go to the gym and work my butt off. I was working my butt off at the gym. I thought was to maintain energy, and in a sense, it was. It absolutely was. But also, in a sense, it was because I was so frustrated with not being where I wanted to be at the moment. I wanted, you know, what a lot of us want in recovery is like, I've been doing all this work. I've been going to AA. I've been going to therapy. I've been doing all these things, and I want my stuff back. Like, I had lost at one point my kids. I didn't lose them. I actually um, did what at the moment I thought was appropriate. Um, and they were staying with my parents. And I know that there's going to be people that are going to judge and criticize what I was doing at the moment and why I was doing it. And I'll give you guys a lot of bit of backstory as we continue and progress with these episodes. But case being, I had chronic pancreatitis. I was slowly dying. It was self-induced. It was my problem. It was my issue. It was my crippling addiction. And that's why we're here. That's literally why I am here. So, if you have something to say in regards to what a shitty parent I was, you are absolutely 1000% right. High five. You're right. You are absolutely right. But, yet again, this is why I'm here. I am here to share my story so that the next person or the person that happens to be listening to this has a understanding that even though you can have an addiction that is very much crippling, that is weighing you down or that is not allowing you to progress, and as many times that you continue to try to progress, sometimes we don't get that. Sometimes we literally will continue to fall back on our substance abuse. It's okay. It's okay. You continue to try. I believe in you. Sit down, Write down your list of why we need to quit. Even if you don't sit down and write it out, which I recommend you do so, it helps. Putting it down on something physical or finding a therapist and actually vocalizing all of these things is way better, because you're, in a sense, like casting out your words so that your brain acknowledges these things that we're talking about, right? Well, sorry, I had to take a coughing break. Okay, so back to where we were. Sometimes it's better to write things out or put them out in the open with the person that you can confide in, preferably somebody that you're not used to um, drinking with or smoking with, or whatever your choice of addiction is, or somebody that you don't already confide in, somebody new, somebody that you can have an open conversation so that you can have like a fresh, clean start. If you have nobody to do that with, it's okay. Grab yourself a pen and pencil, and you can do it that way. It is so okay to do it that way. It is hard to take the initiative to want to stay away from certain things. And in early recovery, looking at it from my point of view now, is I don't think I could have, honestly, in all actuality, put myself out and told everybody, okay, I'm going to get sober. I'm going to get sober. Why? Because I knew that if I told somebody that I was going to get sober, I was going to fail because I wasn't ready, because I didn't have the right support system, because I wasn't um, with people that were sober. And that's okay. I also understand, well, I also have this feeling that we kind of had to go through the things that we had to in order to learn the things that we had to learn so that we could be here. If I wouldn't have gone through all of that, I would not be creating this podcast or this video, vlog, whatever you want to call it. I would not be creating this today because I wouldn't have the experience. I wouldn't have gone through the things that I've gone through, um, talked to the people that I've talked to, any of it. So, the journey, though it's been hard, it is beautiful. There's a purpose that you have outside of your addiction, outside of whatever is crippling you, that sometimes becomes the only thing that seems to be making us happy. But is it true? Outside of this, are you as happy? Can you actually say you party and dance as much as you are dancing when you're drunk? Sorry, that was like the worst dance moves ever, too. It's okay. Um, but if when you are drinking and you are partying, or you are in that depressive cycle, if you have these feelings that roller coaster up and down, that are so unbalanced, and you're not always happy and you're not always miserable, but you can be both and you can be neither, and you can be numb and you can feel a lot of pain. If you are in that, what I have learned from my personal journey is that I had some things that I was not accepting of myself. I was surrounding myself with people that I was comfortable with. It wasn't until I got out of my comfort zone and started talking to the uncomfortable people that kind of had me understanding that I had things that I needed to work on. Everybody has things they need to work on. Like, there is not a singular soul in this planet that is perfectly fine with absolutely everything that happens. We can be accepting of things, we can rage in feelings, and all of these things are absolutely okay and perfectly fine. There's not a singular thing That is abnormal of the things that we go through, even addiction. These things are normal because of the people that surround us, because of the situations or circumstances that we are placed under, depending on the environment we are in, depending on our luck, for say. Some people say it has nothing to do with luck. Let me tell you, how amazing would it be to have the most beautiful, abundant life, and then, somebody's parent dies, and then the other parent doesn't work, or it just cripples them because their significant other, passed, or their child, or these are all situations that put us in such an unfortunate event. I'm not saying that that has happened to me. I was not that person. We came up with very humble upbringings. And even though I've had my personal traumas, I cannot say, oh, I've had an awful time. Uh, Yes, I've had my moments of uncertain uncertainty, even within just my feelings and the idea of being here and taking my next breath. However, there are all things that I had to go through to understand certain things. It is absolutely rough. It is so hard for me to stand here today and remember certain things and say I accepted them. And I know that may sound contrary to what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is that your feelings, the good ones and the bad ones and the in between ones, and even if you could bounce from the bad ones to the good ones to the feelings of, "Ugh, I can't believe I am accepting that." Let me tell you, it is absolutely normal. It is okay, because you may forget, you may forgive somebody, but you don't forget the situation. You don't forget the damage that has been done. You don't. You can accept the fact that some awful things happened and understand that you had to go through them, or you have to just roam through life, right? But life is just kind of like I said, it's kind of a roller coaster. We'll go through things. We will have loved ones that leave us. Some of you maybe are dealing with somebody that has just recently passed, or or you're worried for somebody, or you just have experienced it a lot. Financial hardships that everybody is going through. Some people don't know how they're going to put their next meal on the table, or how they're going to get that next gallon of milk to their kids, where they're going to sleep, how they're going to get a job because they don't have a house, so they can't shower. Like, these are all unfortunate events that anybody anybody is capable of going through. You are not the exempt of any of it. That's hard to that's hard to understand sometimes, because you're like, I was that person that said, I will never be without a job. The day of today, like, I may not have a job, tomorrow I'll have one. And maybe I've had that experience and I've been blessed to do these things, but that may not always be the case. That's okay. I've been homeless. I have not had a home to be at. All of these things self induced. Why? Because I did not know how to handle life and how to deal with my addictions and how to forgive myself. I could not forgive myself for making the choices that I was making, or for ever allowing myself to make those choices. as I'm breaking things. But it's hard when you fall into something that you don't understand that is crippling you. Eventually, we start understanding that there are certain things in our life that are not right. It was pointed out to me one time when I was trying to get my life together and I was trying to reach a goal. And instead of getting to that goal, I continued to do the things that I was doing. And one day, my sweet mom tells me, "What do you mean that you're trying to do this, that, and the other? You're literally doing the same thing every single day. You're just tweaking it. What do you mean you're trying to do something that you're saying? Like, you're literally doing the same thing." And she tells me, "It's literally insane. It's insane." And you know what? She's not wrong. She was not wrong. And I recognize that because I was going to work, I was bringing that paycheck back, I was paying my bills, and I was still drinking. What happened with me when I was drinking? Because of my chronic pancreatitis, I was back at the hospital. I was back in pain and miserable and in this mental headspace where I was not okay. I was unhealthy mentally, and I was expecting to do something different than what I was doing. Or actually, I was expecting a different result. I was expecting to reach those goals doing the same repetition that I was doing. Makes no sense. So then I went and on and I actually Googled like insanity is or insane says the literal the literal definition of it is doing something over and over expecting a different result. What was I doing? So the exact definition of that was doing something over and over and expecting a different result. That kind of hit a little different when I was in the proper headspace. When you actually want change, when you have suffered enough. And I say that. I say suffered enough. When do we have enough guilt? When do we have enough pain on we weren't good enough? We weren't right enough. We didn't have enough. We did not enough. Enough to me is such a painful word. And I feel so sad to acknowledge that deep down, deep down, absolutely, that was my problem. I had this big fear of not being enough for anybody, but mainly the only person I was actually being so toxic towards was literally myself. Nobody else, because everybody else still got up in the morning and went about their day. The only person that I would mortify was myself, and immediate in effect were my children, my partners, at whatever point they were involved in my life, and my immediate family. But what would have happened if I would have changed that from the beginning? What would have happened if I would have understood that the traumas that I went through were not mine to carry for the rest of my life, but to understand? I'm not saying forgive everybody that has caused you pain. What I am saying is it's okay to understand that you went through that. It's okay to grieve the person that you were from said traumas or said feelings. And it is okay to take a step forward. All of these things are okay. I'm sorry that the night kind of caught me here and it's a little dark. But I just wanted to remind you that your pains are valid and they're not left unseen and they're not real. They are real. Your traumas are very real to you, to your heart, your mind, your body, and your soul. But I also want to remind you that through those traumas, you're also okay. You're okay. You really are. And I hope you can feel that at the bottom of your heart that you are okay. And you are a survivor and you are strong and you're amazing. You are an amazing human being. And if I could give somebody one gift, and I hope you turn around and seek it with the next person that comes through the door, I wish I could give you a hug and tell you that I love you as a human being. As a human being. Nothing crazy. It's just the fact that you are a human being. We go through things, a lot of things, a lot of pains, and a lot of it seems so unnecessary. And it's heartbreaking when we go through the pains that we turn around and we say, why did I have to go through that amount of pain? And you remember God. God doesn't put battles in front of you that we cannot surpass, right? That we cannot endure. Some of these pains that we endure are so crippling. I remember many times, not just once. I remember many times I sat and I said to myself, there's no there's no God. If God was a thing, and if God heard me, and if God saw me, he would not put me through that this much pain. And let me tell you, now I look back at my pain. My pain has been simple. It's been self-induced. It hasn't been simple. It just there's some pains that other people carry that are so much more significant that does not devalue the pain that I went through. It does not. It's very simple. We all go through different types of pain. And sometimes sharing that pain with a person helps them understand that they're not alone. And that is something that is extremely validating. And it's beautiful. The hug and the I love you, it's to show you that you are loved, that you are cared for, that somebody loves you as a human being because of the traumas that we have endured. We will all go through traumas. That is the reality of it. It is okay to understand that our traumas have been here and we have carried them. It is okay to breathe that reality and exhale the toxicity and the weight that we carry of said traumas. You do not need to carry them forever. That does not mean that you will forget them. That does not mean that they did not exist. It just means that you don't need to carry that weight. You can breathe so much easier and you can understand that it wasn't your fault so much easier. You have choices. Everybody has choices. And sometimes fault, we see them like, oh my gosh, if I wouldn't have. I know the feeling. A lot of things have been my fault. I accept it. I acknowledge it 1000%. I am not saying that I don't because I do. I am guilty of so many things. It's stupid. But also, I acknowledge that without these things that I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be loving and kind the way I am. I wouldn't be wanting to do the things that I want to. I wouldn't be wanting to provide the things that I want to for my children, for my family. I wouldn't I would still be crippled in bed or lost in the streets. Who knows what I would have done if I wouldn't have started understanding that it's okay to make mistakes and to start forgiving myself. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying I have fully forgiven myself for a lot of things. I hold on to a lot of baggage. I do. We all do. All of it is okay. And I'll leave you with that today. I hope you understand that the mistakes that we make through life are mistakes. There is coming back from that. Is it easy? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is so far from being easy, but it can be done. Keep on trying. Keep on getting up for the day. Keep on being brave. Keep on being strong. And remember that you're not perfect. You're not meant to be perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm not meant to be perfect. Nobody is. I love you. I will see you here, hopefully, if my voice doesn't go away because I'm a little sick, tomorrow. And remember to be kind to yourself. Remember that you are loved. And remember to be strong tomorrow. I love you. Bye bye.